Spoilers ahead. Watch out, and take care. The movie tells the story of Pardo, a religious man who goes to church often. One particular day, Pardo goes to the church and sees something strange. From afar, he spots a scared person hiding something in one of the church's flower pots. Pardo is suspicious of the man, so he follows him to the harbor. There, he notices 4 other men attacking the poor guy, because they think he is hiding a bag full of money. In fact, they ask him repeatedly where the money is. They band together and repeatedly push him into the water. The crew almost kill him, however, the man says he doesn't know anything about the bag. The 4 men leave him alone when they eventually can't get the information. The man turns out to be Agustin, an ordinary guy, so Pardo goes up to him and helps him, and he asks Pardo to drive him to the house of his friend, Antonia. They arrive there, and Antonia opens the door and invites them in. Antonia tells her son to go to his aunt's house when she sees how wounded Agustin is. Her son is actually sick and needs surgery to get better, but she has to send him away to keep him safe. She doesn't want someone looking for Agustin to hurt him one day. While Pardo is praying at the church, he is curious about Agustin's request, so he asks him about it. Agustin says that all he wants is for the people who beat him to leave him alone, so he can work and live a normal life. Before leaving home, Pardo thinks about it for a while. When he gets to the house, he does a ritual in which he plays Russian roulette with the bullet holes in his gun. He puts a bullet in one hole and leaves the other 5 empty. He then pulls the trigger once while pointing the gun at the head. If he still has a chance to live, it means that he still has the chance to make up for his sins, by getting rid of the bad things around him. But if he dies, it means his mission on Earth has been completed. He is known as the Redeemer because of this. Pardo goes to the harbor in the afternoon and challenges the 4 men who had beaten Agustin the day before. Agustin is also afraid, as he stands far away and watches Pardo. Eventually, he starts fighting with the gang. With ease, Pardo cuts his opponent's necks with a small knife that he keeps on his finger. In addition, one of his enemies has his head crushed, when he is brutally hit by a still-running boat's propeller. After Pardo defeats the rivals, he takes their things and gives them to the church. As he walks to Antonia's house, he sees a lot of armed men hanging out near the highway. Even though they ignore him, which shows that Pardo isn't the person they are looking for, he gets even more preoccupied. When he gets to the house, Agustin begs Pardo to keep the gunman away from him. It turns out that a dealer's boss owns the bag that Agustin threw away a few days ago. The bag is important because it was full of money. Pardo is willing to help Agustin as long as the money is returned to its rightful owner, and Agustin agrees to his plan. To get away from the dealer gangs, Pardo takes Agustin and Antonia in his car to a deserted beach, where they hide in a cave. After that, Pardo joins the group of dealers. He offers to tell them where the bag they are looking for is, but he has one request: after they get the bag, they have to leave the city. Their leader, Piedra, doesn't trust Pardo and thinks he is just lying. He first wants to see if what Pardo says is true. Pardo tells them at gunpoint that the bag they are looking for is hidden in a church. Piedra goes straight to the church with his men in tow. But even though Piedra's men look everywhere, they are unable to find the bag. Piedra gets angry, so he calls his men, who are watching over where Pardo is being held. He tells his men to kill Pardo because he has been lying. On the other hand though, Pardo attacks Piedra's men and starts a fist fight with them. He fights alone against the goons, who are armed. Gladly, his fighting abilities allow him to kill everyone and win. Not long after, Piedra returns home. He can't believe that all of his men have been killed. He goes straight to his boss, Steve Braddock, to tell him what happened. As it turns out, Steve is the one who owns that bag. After killing Piedra's men, Pardo goes to the cave, where he finds Agustin and Antonia counting money. Even though Pardo is shocked at first by what he sees, he soon realizes that Agustin has given Piedra's bag back to Antonia, so that she could give her son a better life. Pardo tries to take the bag. Antonia however tries to stop him, pleading to give her the money, but he doesn't care. He still plans to give Piedra the money back. In the middle of the trip, he can't decide what to do next. He remembers his past with his wife and kids. He pulls over to the side and stops the car to think. In the end, he goes back to the cave and gives Antonia and Agustin the money back. He plays Russian roulette again as part of his strange ritual. He is lucky that the shot that goes off is empty, so he doesn't die. A while later, Pardo starts to keep an eye on what the drug dealer gangs are doing at the moment. He watches the group's every move, until one day, when he follows a car that leads him to their factory. He keeps watching what is going on there from a safe distance. When the car he has been following leaves the factory, he gets in his own car and goes after it. Unexpectedly, he has actually walked into a trap. Someone found out what he was doing. His car is shot at as it crosses a road. Here, he fights with a gang member. His opponent is very strong, so it's not a walk in the park. But he is finally able to beat the opponent, kicking him in the head. He goes back to the cave to sleep that night. Antonia meets him there and asks him to talk. When Antonia touches him on the back, he immediately thinks of the times he has spent with his wife. In the past, Pardo and his pregnant wife were taken from their home. At that time, a man named Alacron, who was called Scorpio, tortured Pardo's wife, making her scream in pain. The man cut her open in front of him. Alacron told Pardo that he can kill his wife, or let her be tortured until she dies. He couldn't do anything because he was tied up. He was given a gun pointed at his wife. He had no choice but to shoot her, not wanting to see her suffer any longer. Back to the present, Pardo is behind the wheels of his car on the way back to the dealer's headquarters. While Agustin is inside the cave, he makes several attempts to reach his boat, which is anchored near the entrance to the harbor. He accomplished this by swimming toward the coast, and he intends to use the boat to escape the city as soon as he can. When he is finally back at his boat, the men working for Alacron are waiting for him there. He returns to the cave and immediately enters it again. But Alacron has been waiting for him close to the cave all this time. In the meantime, Pardo is armed and on his way to launch an assault on a manufacturing facility of the Mafia. After firing at the guards at the entrance, he boldly enters the building. The firefight quickly reaches a fever pitch. Entering the room, he is confronted by a security officer, who he engages in hand-to-hand combat with. His opponent takes hit after hit and succumbs to the onslaught of blows eventually. Then Pardo goes upstairs to the office of the Mafia boss. The room looks messy, and there are bullets all over the floor. He walks up to a chair where the boss is sitting. He thinks something is wrong because the boss is sitting still and not moving. But before he can check on the boss, Alacron hits him from behind very hard. Pardo is then taken away after he passes out. When he passed out, he thought back to his past and saw a shadow of Alacron, who was his worst enemy at the time. Pardo used to do a job that was against the law. He was a hitman. At the time, he was hired to kill Alacron in his home. Pardo made a mistake though, because Alacron was not an easy target, and he underestimated him. During the fight, Alacron's son came running out of his room just as Pardo pulled out his gun. He shot a bullet that hit the wrong target. Alacron was very angry when he saw his only son, whom he loved very much. When Pardo wakes up, he is standing in front of the beach church. He wakes up right when Alacron shoots the gun. Not far from where he is lying, he sees Agustin and Antonia sitting in fear. Alacron gives Agustin a gun and tells him to shoot himself in the head. Antonia yells out in fear, so Alacron shoots her in the leg. When Alacron is not looking, Agustin tries to shoot him with the gun he just pulled out. But Alacron sees it right away, and he shoots Agustin in the head in a lightning-fast move. Then Alacron tells Antonia to take the gun that Agustin is holding. He tells Antonia to shoot herself in the head, or he will kill her. Antonia does what Alacron says, even though she is scared to death and her hands are shaking. She points the gun at her own head. While this is going on, Pardo thinks about his wife when he sees all the chaos around him. Antonia suddenly points the gun she is holding at Alacron, and at the same time, Pardo kicks the gun Alacron is holding so hard that it flies far away. Pardo and Alacron fight one-on-one in front of the church. Both know how to fight well. Both sides kick and punch each other. After some time, Pardo is finally able to get rid of Alacron. Even though he is helpless, Alacron is still alive. Pardo however chooses not to kill him, and tells him to change and fight crime like he does, so that when he dies in future, he will be able to meet his son in heaven. We see how a person changes over time. We can learn that even a bad person can change. Even though Pardo used to do a lot of bad things, he is able to change after something bad happens to him. Even though he lost a loved one, that doesn't make him a vengeful man. He thinks about himself and does good things to find peace of mind. Also, if we find something that isn't ours and don't give it back to its owner, there will be consequences. The end. Thank you for watching. Subscribe if you'd like to see more videos like this. Turn on the notifications, and leave a like to help the channel out.